I ain't drip shit, you know?
Hey YouTube, it's your host Taya J, and I'm back with another episode on the Glow Talk where we are glowing and growing. And on today's episode, I have a very special guest. He is a poet, and I mean, in a lot of instances, you could call him an author too. His name is iLL. So iLL, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself. Just tell us who you are and what you do.
Hi YouTube, my name is iLL, the iLL Soldier. I am a poet at heart and an entrepreneur in this body, but by my nature, I'm just a loving individual, and I do everything with my heart. So this is my life that you get. So I just released my second book. It's a series that I plan to do my entire life, from the time I started until the time I lay in my bed, my final resting place. And it's the series of iLL. It's called The Intelligent Legendary Leader. And it's just a tone to who I am as a person and what I plan to do with my life and what I plan to leave with my legacy.
Okay. So you say your stage name is iLL, basically iLL Soldier. So how did you come up with that stage name?
Well, the first iLL is the acronym, the Intelligent Legendary Leader, and a soldier I spell it SOL with my soul because I'm a soldier for my soul and I fight to protect it. And the ill part is just me being the illest. Like it's a term that's used as a derogatory term, or it could be used as something positive or negative, and I choose to use the positive version and grow from that, just to be the illest soldier I can be, just an army myself. So I grow by a little too. Like I grew up being the oldest, so I am a natural leader. Like I have brothers that look up to me and sisters that look up to me, so I knew early that I didn't want to be something that my brothers and sisters couldn't look up to, because I remember being young and looking up to somebody. I looked up to my cousins. I looked up to my aunties and uncles. So I understand what being a model is, or being a role model in someone's life. So I wanted to make sure that when it comes time that I am somebody's individual role model, I can be something of value to look up to and not something of something of disgust to look down upon,
That's dope. That's deep. And everything that you said, you hit on a lot of valuable points for sure. Especially when you are somebody that's being looked up to. You have to set that example and be a positive example to, the younger generation. So that is very important. And it's good to hear young people with that type of mindset, because you don't hear that nowadays with people who are younger. They're only doing crazy, bizarre stuff, not positivity at all. So definitely keep that up, keep doing what you're doing, and keep, keeping that mindset to make a change, a positive change with that. So yes.
I love sticking away from the stereotypes of what I'm supposed to be. So I'm supposed to be young and dumb, but what if I create a stigma that you can be young and wise? Like what if that was a trend? So I wanted to be that for my own individual self, and hopefully that it rubs off on people that surround me and the people that look at me. So that's the intent behind it.
Young and wise. You should write a poem called Young and Wise.
I definitely got one called Rich and Wise, and it's a test of being young and wise. So yeah, I'm definitely gonna Young and Wise.
Yes, definitely do one called Young and Wise. That would be a dope one for sure. Speaking of poetry and the name, you mentioned that you do have a new book that is out. What got you into poetry?
Personally, what really got me into poetry was at the age of 9 years old. It was a family altercation, and one of my cousins passed. And it was a senseless act that it shouldn't have happened, but it happened. But for me personally, I was young and the youngest of the family, really. But I had something to say, and I didn't know how to say it, and it hurt me to see that type, because I was already upset at the fact that it's a stigma being black. It's a stigma being the black male. So it hurt. It took an even more turn when it stigma that my family is sticking to, that, even, I didn't know how to express myself to everyone. I was a young kid around, so who's going to listen to me? So my way of getting into poetry when he passed was when I wrote my first poem, because I wanted to say something for him, but not only to him, but to all my cousins that was doing that same type of stuff that he was on, or not necessarily doing what he was doing, or like just in that zone of doing something that we don't have to do. So at this funeral, like, it was the first time I ever recited a poem. I took my time to even write a poem, and it started out. To this day, I tried everything to like try to remember it, but my spirit kind of blurs out that part. But it started out something similar, like, you have to be wise, make the right decision, get your education because school is first, love your family and care for your friends. And I can't think of anything else out there. That was my very first poem.
Wow.
I wanted to say something to all my family, like, we don't have to do this. That was my way of saying it.
Wow.
So as I got older and I got into the spiritual development, got into knowing about girls and trying to understand my emotions and what I am as a person, because again, being black and being a man, I'm not supposed to show my emotions. So I went, writing was my way of escaping and finding out for myself what I couldn't find out in the conversation to somebody else. So that was my escape to really decode who I was. And so I articulated everything through poetry.
Wow. So you basically turned your pain into passion.
Yeah, for sure. And it kind of became part of my love language. Speaking and affirming something to myself and to my lady. So
Wow.
it was a battle getting here. I can definitely say that. And it's gonna be a battle getting to anywhere I'm going. But it's the journey for me. I've developed a certain peace within myself. I truly just love the journey. Like, I love when I'm sitting to myself in a poem, or not necessarily a poem, but an idea spark in my head, and I get to flowing upon that idea. I love just the fact of learning something new that I didn't know before. Like, that's how I've been my whole life. And it just, each year that I evolve around the sun, I get more and more of that person. Yes. A more person, like, I want to learn more, love more, be more. And I understand that no matter where I want to go and envision myself, even when I get there, this essence of wanting to grow will always exist. So I should just love the journey of growing.
True.
That's where I am right now.
That is so. That's wow.
Like I said, that.
That's like, that's not only is that deep, but just like I said, once again, like, the younger generation, and I mean, I'm pretty sure we're the same age, or close in proximity of the same age, but just to hear somebody be on that type of mindset is so amazing to me, because like I said before, nowadays all you hear about is guns and all, like, just crazy stuff, just crazy stuff, and you don't really hear people being on that type of mindset to where they're so connected with the spiritual realm to know these things, or even being willing to learn these things and actually loving the journey, because a lot of people don't like the journey. They just want to hurry up and get to the success part of it.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people fail to realize is the journey is the most important part. It's the most sacred part of the success. Without the journey, you won't have the success. Yeah, like, without it, you won't have the success. And You know, I've heard a lot of people say, enjoy the journey. The journey is the best part. The journey is the best part. So I heard you speak on love language. And you talked about, you know, poetry being your way of expressing love. Is that what you're saying? Okay, cool. So do you have a poem that is, you know, expressing that love, that, you know, that feeling of that love language?
I for sure do. I can open it up to it right now if you want to.
Yeah, let's hear a little snippet of, you know, ill soldier expressing his love.
I think this is one of my favorite, talking
Okay.
about my love and where it attests to and how it has grown over the years. Yeah, this is a proof of the book, what it looks like so far.
Okay.
That on Amazon.
Okay. Okay. And what is the name of it?
The Alchemy of an Ill Soldier.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, this is kind of, I don't know if you can see it, but yeah.
Okay. And it's
It's
just full of
lyrical.
poems?
Yeah, it's a book. It was the
Oh.
periodic table of poetic alchemy.
Mm.
So I made a poem that correlates for every element in the periodic table, and then I
Mm-hmm.
went a little bit more and made my own elements.
Mm-hmm.
All right, this one is called A Whole Batch of Honey Hive.
Okay.
I'm beginning to hear the ringing of bells and chimes as I prepare for my wedding for the first and last time. This divine soul I hold close as my female counterpart sparked a road for my soul to see King Chaos Camelot. She's the strength to my weakness, my glory through the finish line. Illest soldier I know fight my front, back, and side to side. You see, my sunflower may seem as sweet as a butterfly, but my baby queen bee, and we a whole batch of honey hive. Together we grow wise through this thing called love, forgiving and never judging how we both learn to love. We understand that we were dealt different hands, but in this game we a team, so we both gotta win. The dark night of my soul rose from within, coated in gold garments like my beautiful brown skin. The love she emits must be matched. I had to raise my standards and truly attack where I lacked. Then the bridge opened up to the depths of my heart. I dove in head first and my whole world turned dark. My fears and doubts came rushing to fight. I stood still in my will because I knew everything's just right. I was born for this chapter. I was born for this battle. I accept my challenge to defeat myself till I truly find balance. Even when balance is attained, I shall stay down my lane because I seek a level within myself beyond this earth plane. As I sing my soliloquy through these lines, I pray I meet her wants and needs because she's exceeded all mine. A whole batch of honey hive.
Woo! Okay. Yes. I
I
love
appreciate
it.
it.
I love that. That wow. That touched the soul. That touched the soul.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's one of my favorite ones when I like understood what this was and who I was and where I am and right where I'm supposed to be for me. And and I wanted to write something about that. And I don't know, I got plenty, like it's so many poems about in that book about her. Like people will
Oh.
see, like I couldn't be this person unless I had something, a feminine version to look at to display my emotions to me and reflect back to me what I needed to decode within myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't be weak to understand that. I had to be not only vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
but like fearless. Like I had to
Mm-hmm.
be fearlessly vulnerable,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense. Like I had to love wholeheartedly, but understand that having my heart outside of my hand, it'll,
Right.
it'll you know, it'll weather. It'll get hit with some debris.
Mm-hmm. You just spoke on about being fearlessly vulnerable.
Hmm.
How important is that when going into a relationship?
Well, for me, especially in this generation, and
Mm-hmm.
being a man, it's the most important thing I could have done.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I wasn't vulnerable with feeling for myself, for my own emotions, for her emotions, and
Mm-hmm.
even go as far as to look back in my childhood, how was
Mm-hmm.
my mother emotionally reacting? How was my
Mm-hmm.
fathers, my aunties, my aunt? How was people
Mm-hmm.
emotionally reacting in being in relationships? And I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to know why it was a struggle for the black man and black woman to relate to each other when we are what, like, the universe basically.
Right, right, right.
There is nothing that exists outside of the yoni and the phallus. There is nothing out. Everything else is an expression of those two things.
Mm-hmm.
And once I really understood that within myself, I had to go within. I had to understand that if I am a universe,
Mm-hmm.
that I had to have a feminine and masculine principle within myself to be
Mm-hmm.
whole human, to be a whole human. So I understood that at a point it came like I'm the universe experiencing the universe. So anybody I'm speaking to is an aspect of my mind expressing back to me what I can't express to myself. So once I
Mm-hmm.
truly understood that, once I truly understood how I was attracted to that and what she was for me, like I did everything in me to just have an understanding, not to control it, not to take it somewhere or do something with it, just to know what it was, where it
Mm-hmm.
came from, man. That's it. Not nothing, no alternative motive, but to just understand.
Mm-hmm.
And when I really got to trying to understand, everything else became easy. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's easy for us to like have a disagreement or have a situation where we don't agree, or
Mm-hmm.
something. Like it's easy because we can understand, I can have a compassion and understanding within myself to adjust a certain way and act a
Mm-hmm.
certain way to make sure situations don't get out of hand. And once we
Mm-hmm.
both started doing that, it started to be like literally the yin and yang symbol coming into play. So once I once I found that balance within myself, I was able to see it in my real world. And I couldn't see it in my real world until I found it within me.
Mm-hmm.
And once I found it within me, it started to automatically happen in my real life. Like, we automatically vibrate at the same pace. We always have been. I had to raise, like literally in my point, I had to raise myself up to her level. But the only reason, because I look at women with a pedestal. So
Mm-hmm.
for me to even look at her as my potential wife, like she doesn't really understand right now, but like that is the highest form of vibration for me.
Mm-hmm.
So for me to have an idea and want, like it's nothing to chase though. It's like I'm just trying to vibrate at a pace and where things just align and I'm not forcing things. And once I tried to do that, everything just came into play. I had to listen to the things that I was learning about my own self and my own spirit
Mm-hmm.
and apply that to not only myself and my actual life, but to the relationships I was having with everybody around me, not just with
Mm-hmm.
the woman with my
Mm-hmm.
father, with my mother. I had to decode these things with my brothers and
Mm-hmm.
sisters, and like I had to understand what that was. And this
Wow.
is like that's where the book comes from. Like me trying to decode that in the energy inside me, trying to see and pierce this universe that is awakened to. So
Wow. I was like so mentally. That's why I just learned so much. I really do. Wow, that I keep saying the word deep, but like that was really deep. I'm appalled. I'm just taken back. Like
what's
it's.
really funny though, a lot of people find me deep or like I would
Mm,
have never thought, like everything, a lot of things that I say people find deep or like out of
mm,
this world a lot of times. But me personally, I am the most simplest person in the universe. And the reason why people think I'm so wise is because I simplify. I simplify,
mm,
simplify, simplify. I bring
mm,
things to its lowest terms so I can understand them. And I'm just right now I'm in the point where I'm just trying to grow into understanding so I can explain anything to a 4-year-old
Mm.
child. To a 4-year-old child.
Mm. Do you feel that this simplicity type of mindset that you have um, stems from you having such a high spiritual background?
Um, I really think it starts with my effort in learning.
Mm-hmm.
The most exciting day of my life was when I was a 5-year-old kid, knowing I was gonna have my first day at big school, what I used to call it, elementary.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was one of the most exciting days of my life.
Mm-hmm.
Like in school, it wasn't like it was. It wasn't like it for me. It wasn't like it was for everyone else. Like people didn't like school, didn't like learning, and didn't like discipline. But me, I welcomed it. Like I
Mm-hmm.
love you. I would love learning something new. Like I was in, like especially I seen this movie Gifted Hands when I was like 6 or 7 years old, and
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be a brain surgeon. So
Wow.
I used to study just like buy, like my mom used to go to thrift bookstores, or not thrift books, or like she'd go to old stores, and I
Mm-hmm.
would get old medical books and just not even know, I don't know nothing in this book, but I just wanted to have it and look through it and see, like, and I started to understand these things and actually teach myself. I taught myself how to read like thoroughly and write thoroughly, like so. I don't know. This is what you get.
Wow.
I wanted to learn. I wanted to know,
Mm-hmm.
and my effort of wanting to know my spirit,
Mm-hmm.
wanting to know what I could do with my life, wanting to know what kind of father I could possibly be. If I have a father and people have fathers and mothers, then inevitably, I don't even know if I still said it right, but ultimately it I had to understand that I was going to get to that point, and what would I do with that point? So from 5 years old, I know it sounds exaggeration, but I never lie when I'm saying this. When I
Mm-hmm.
was in elementary school, I knew that I wanted a wife, not necessarily a wife, but like I knew that I had to have a girlfriend. I had to be a certain way. So I
Right.
built I worked on being a certain way. But I was shy around girls, so I was never the guy
Mm-hmm.
like talking to a lot of different girls. Like
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be a certain way within myself.
Mm-hmm.
That the woman that I was supposed to be with, I was gonna find her because I was just being a certain way, just me
Mm-hmm.
being me. So I was always happy being my own individual self. Like I didn't fit in with my homeboys because I thought a little different. I wanted to I wanted to play chess instead of Pokemon. Like
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to learn how to read in actual I wanted to be, I don't know. I got into Black History when I was young. Everything just I loved being human and being Black and like seeing my people and like wanting to know more. So
Mm-hmm.
my whole entire life I just did everything to know more as much as I could, and
Mm-hmm.
acting on not just knowing more, but using what I was learning and using it with my real life. And
Mm-hmm.
it started to play out. Like, everything started to come into play. But
Wow.
granted, the bad stuff did come into place too. I had to go through dark forces as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I get
Definitely.
both sides of the balance beam of seeing both light days and dark days,
Mm-hmm.
but being inside in my middle way, inside my heart, inside the
Mm-hmm.
middle. Not being too much this way, not being too much that way, just stillness and within what my spine is,
Mm-hmm.
like not altering where my emotions go. But it took a while. Like I just got here, which is why I didn't want to YouTube, which is why I didn't want to social media yet until I developed
Mm-hmm.
myself and until I felt comfortable within me that like I can say right now that the
Mm-hmm.
work that I've done for myself, like if my little brother is looking up to me, I don't know if he can be proud, but I know I can be proud of what I'm showing him with what I'm doing with myself.
Mm-hmm.
With me failing to go to college, me failing to keep a job, I'm still not in the streets. I'm still not scamming, or I'm still trying to do this the legit way that I can do this. Like no matter if even in when all my nobody could tell the 14-year-old me that I was not going to college, that I was not going to be this great NFL player. Ain't none of that. Nobody could tell me that.
Right. Right.
So like when those things didn't happen, it had to dry out this person, which the person that I needed. I wouldn't have had this person if all those things would have happened like I thought they were supposed to happen. So I needed those things to not happen so I could be the person that I needed to be, not the person I wanted to be. So now when it does happen for real, they can't take it from nobody because it's for me and not, you know.
Yeah, it's for you and not for anybody else. It's what your destined purpose is for sure. Wow. I'm over here gaining. Like, listen, y'all, if y'all have not ever heard of this man before, y'all hearing about him now, so y'all need to tap in with him as soon as possible because he has some knowledge for sure. A lot of what you just described in my thought process, I have a feeling you're describing self-love. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So with that being said, in your opinion, how important is it for someone to be all the way in tune with themselves and have that self-love factor?
Well, in turn, the only reason I got so internally with inside myself is because I was my whole life. Everything I was explaining, like me wanting a girlfriend, me wanting to be a certain way for my parents, me wanting to be a certain way for my future generation. That's me outwardly thinking, me outwardly giving my love. So with that that's how I naturally was. So I could naturally just give myself to any and everything around me. And in turn, it tore me up because my heart was always out. And people could use it
Okay.
to their advantage. So that's what I meant by being vulnerably or fearlessly vulnerable. And majority of my life, 90% of the people that came in contact with me, I knew they didn't have good intent, but I still allowed them to be around me. I still allowed myself to be around them. So in these situations that I came in, being in that situation is my own doing. So I have to understand that me giving all this love, this love that I'm feeling is inside of me. This love that I'm trying to give, it can't go nowhere else but inside my own being and circulate from the bottom, it go from my heart to my toes and back into my heart. You know, it just circulates through my body.
Right.
Like it doesn't go nowhere else. Like even if no matter how much I love my woman, truly she will never truly know what the feeling that I have for her because it's my feeling. So once I truly understand that I'm feeling my universe, experiencing the universe, like these feelings that I'm having, these feelings that I'm trying to express, is feelings that I have for myself. And if I can truly learn how to use these feelings for myself, then I can have even more feelings to use for the people that I'm trying to love in the first place. Because I will develop more and more love just by holding not necessarily like it's not being selfish. That's two different things. It's not being careless or it's not keeping and holding yourself hostage. That's what I mean by being fearlessly vulnerable. Because I can truly love outside of me, but it's now turned into the fact that it's my love. So you're not responsible for that. Like I'm only responsible for how I love my woman. I'm not responsible whether or not she loves me back or what she does with that love. So once I truly understood that and I started to work with that and try to just, okay, hold me accountable. I had
Mhm.
like I stayed by myself, so I had a lot of conversations to myself where like I'm pissed off. Like, why are you not holding you accountable? Why are you continuously allowing yourself to be in situations you don't have to be in? Why are you
Mhm.
continuously emotionally erupting outside when you don't have to do that? Every
Okay.
time, and when I reflect on these situations where I do something that I don't have to do, or I react the way I don't have to react, it gives
Mhm.
me an opportunity to look at why I reacted like that first. And secondly, how can I react different? And
Mhm.
thirdly, where did that even come from? Where does it come from? And once
Mhm.
I decode when I answer each question honestly with myself,
Mhm.
I can change it. But if I don't answer it honestly, if I don't even if I don't even pose the question to myself, it doesn't
Mhm.
get answered. It doesn't. The situation does. It never gets solved. It only gets swept
Mhm.
under the rug. So
Mhm.
I'm really big on problem solving. So I want to
Mm.
solve the problem within me, and that's what I feel like. What we are as the nature of what a man is a problem solver, which is why the community is the way it is, because we haven't solved the problem of home. And once we solve the problem at home, we'll see what happened. Well, we already seeing, like, we can see like how the relationship between the black man and woman is coming back. We can see
Right.
how the strength within our community is literally destroying the fabric of what people thought society was. I just want to keep building that momentum, making sure that I'm on the right track and aligning with what the divine nature wanted me to align with, and
Mhm.
not throwing myself off course. The only person that could ever be in my way is me. The only person that can put me in the situation, put me in a car that I'm not supposed to be me in, is me. The only person
Mhm.
that can walk out this door when I'm not supposed to walk out this door is me. The only
Right.
person that can eat something that I'm not supposed to eat, drink something that I'm not supposed to drink, is me. And
Right.
once I really accepted that,
Mhm.
like really walked that truth and
Mhm.
really tried to own up to that, that's when everything turned around for me. That's when then this is
Wow.
the person we get, right? And I'm still a work in progress. I'm not perfect. And I don't
Mhm.
want people ever to think that like I still don't eat the right stuff. I
Right.
still like now I'm still like working on building myself.
Mhm.
But it's the journey. It's about loving the journey. And I'll
Right.
be a fool to think that I'm supposed to be perfect
Mhm.
before I can still give myself to the world the way I'm supposed to give myself to the world. So
Right.
that's why I got a certain hold to my peace that nobody can take. And I'm I'm ready to share my mind with the world as I continue to grow more upon
Mhm.
this mind that I
Whew. Wow. Wow. Yeah, look, I'm not, listen, y'all, listen. Trying to tell y'all. I am trying to tell y'all, listen to this man. He has so much insight on a lot of things. So definitely tap in with him, y'all. There's been a lot of mentioning of, the spiritual realm and, becoming one with yourself and, just things of that nature. And anybody who is maybe thinking about, getting on a spiritual journey or has started their spiritual journey, what is some advice that you could give to someone that's starting or someone that's already starting, to just enhance their spiritual journey in the best way that they can?
am. Okay. The first thing I would say, if I was looking, the way I answer every question is I always would look, what would I tell me when I needed this answer?
Mm, okay.
So if I was looking back when I was alone and starting this journey,
Mhm.
and I would be looking, talking to me, the only thing the only advice I would give is be first my code, fiercely vulnerable. That's
Mhm.
what I mean by being a soldier. That's what the
Mm.
warrior spirit is. That's actually got that from a book that I'm currently reading, the Shabala, the sacred journey of the warrior.
Mhm.
But I would say trust yourself blindfold. Like,
Mm.
there is absolutely nothing on this universe, no one on this planet that loves you, that trusts you the way you love and trust you. Like,
Mm.
absolutely, there's not a mother, there's not a father,
Mhm.
like, there's not a teacher, there's not a preacher, there's not a guru, there's nothing on this planet that can save you other than ultimately your own divine nature of yourself.
Mhm.
So if you can find a way to just sit still to yourself and listen to what you say, listen to the conversation that you have with yourself,
Mhm.
and just act upon that conversation, no matter how crazy it sounds, no matter how weird it looks at other people, no matter, it doesn't matter. Like, you have to be inside of you. Not necessarily not have to matter, but you have to understand the world around you is you. So
Mhm.
if you want to see a reality that you want to see, you have to go within the reality that you are and fix it. The only way it's
Mm.
fixed is inside. There's not a job, there's not a career, there's not no amount of money that will fix the in universe that's inside of you. That's why you see bums with problems mentally and spiritually. And that's why you see the richest people on this planet not know what's wrong with their spirit.
Mm.
So it's not about the material, because the only material that exists is the fabric of your own soul that thought about it.
Mm.
So the thought of what you are is who you truly are. And if you can go within those thoughts and take away the programming that you was given and give yourself the program that you want, there's nothing that can stop your universe from shining the way it's supposed to shine. But there is no God. There's nothing outside of you that will fix you. I promise. Like, the guy that we thought we were to go find out who he was and who she was,
Mhm.
my own divine essence of what I am. And for
Mm.
me to even have the info, or even for me to even have the thought that a God exists, that something outside of me is controlling all this, I'm that.
Mhm.
So if I'm birthed from that, I am that which I came from. I can't be anything else. So
Mm.
once we understand that we are the divine nature of who we, like the divine that we praising is our own self, when we truly accept that truth,
Right.
there's no like the youngsters like to say right now, it's only up from here, because you only travel new dimensions. You only go up you only travel. It's only up. Yeah, you
Right.
keep going. You are, it's
Wow.
because there are only like it's only two things that exist. Like I said earlier, things in existence, they only do one or two things through the Fibonacci sequence. And the golden ratio is what they call it, 1.618. They either evolve 1.618
Mhm.
every now moment. So like right now, we can either be evolving or devolving based on what we're doing at this very right now moment. The only thing that exists is right now. It don't matter.
Mhm.
Yesterday don't matter, and tomorrow ain't even here yet. So the only thing that ever existed is right now. So it's the nowness, it's the stillness and understanding who you are right now, and understanding that where you are right now is inside your own soul. You are
Mhm.
experiencing what your soul is trying to call life, and life is asking you, what is life?
Mm.
And this is the experience we get.